This is quiet horror. I noticed it because it didn't move. The second hand on the kitchen clock was perfectly still. At first, I assumed the battery had died. That happens. Except the clock was still ticking. I could hear it, a dry, rhythmic snap against the silence. Tick, tick, tick. The second hand didn't advance. It stayed hooked between the 12 and the 1. Not a line, not broken, just held. I checked my phone. The digital digits flickered, steady and indifferent. Minutes bled into each other. The wall clock agreed with them. The minute hand crawled, the hour hand followed. Only the second hand remained where it was, a thin red splinter frozen in time. I leaned closer. The ticking didn't match the hand's position. It was early. Each sound preceded the moment it belonged to, like an echo of a second that hadn't happened yet. I replaced the battery, the ticking cut out, then it resumed, persistent as a heartbeat. The red hand didn't flinch. I watched it longer than I meant to. I told myself the mechanism was jammed, but the explanation felt hollow. I left the kitchen. When I returned an hour later, the clock was still accurate to the minute. The second hand was still an island. I took the clock off the wall. In my hands, the vibration of the motor felt like a living thing, struggling to break free. I turned the clock face down on the counter. I didn't want its gaze on me, but I could still hear it through the wood. Tick, tick, tick. At 3:42 a.m., I went to the kitchen. The clock matched my phone exactly. The second hand hadn't moved a fraction of a millimeter. The next morning, I brought a second clock into the room. I placed them side by side. One advancing, one waiting. I unplugged the first clock. The ticking stopped. The hand stayed. When I plugged it back in, the ticking resumed instantly. It didn't catch up. It didn't recalibrate. It didn't acknowledge the missing time. By the third day, I stopped calling it broken. Broken things drift. They fail. They surrender. This was precise. This was intent. I covered the clock with a towel, but I could feel it through the fabric, a tiny, unmoving eye watching the room. I stopped checking it eventually, not because the fear had left, but because the clock had won. Everything else moved. People walked. Shadows elongated. The sun rose and set. But that second hand stayed pinned to its secret. I don't know what moment it's marking. I don't know why it stayed behind. I only know this. Time is moving on. And something that was supposed to happen is still standing there, waiting for me. Some stories should stay unheard.